G'day brewers, I'm here at Crafted Taste today with Shari from the Brew Crew.
Hello.
Hey. So I wanted to have a chat about getting into home brewing. Now, you're a member of our club at pubs. So tell me what you like about pubs.
Pubs, I think, has been great for me because obviously this is a family-run business. It's our family, and I'd spent 3-4 years here learning, what I thought was the crux of home brewing. Going over to you guys was like a whole nother world.
Okay.
So between all of you have such a diverse knowledge on the real nitty-gritty stuff.
Okay.
We certainly like to focus on home brewing that's really easy and accessible, and even my content online, that's what my interest is. You guys have been able to take me to the next level and learning things like, the off flavors tastings that we do, different names for esters and those type of things. So it's basically elevated my knowledge. Plus the community's great too.
Cool.
We've done our beer sharing, and I've really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed your beer swap? Have you drunk a beers from your beer swap yet?
I haven't done scabs.
No.
So I got myself a nice little tasting paddle a couple of weekends ago. So I'm going to sit down and do those.
Okay.
I think we've got to get those in soon, don't we?
Yeah, we have to work on it,
Yeah.
We have to do it, yeah. So let me ask you, this is what this video I wanted to do today. I wanted to ask, if you were starting home brewing today, if there's someone out there who's like, I want to get into home brewing, it's a new year, I'm going to take up a new hobby, and they came in here, what would you recommend? How would you get them started?
Yeah, so my first point of call was always a starter kit.
Yep.
I find them to be super affordable. They've got everything in there. It's really the best kit for home brewers who know absolutely nothing, want to stick to real basics. The second type of person that walks in is someone who has done a bit of research, potentially has a kegerator, they've been having their kegs filled, or they've got home brewers who have elevated setups, and they go, all right, I've got myself a kegerator, I'm getting myself a kegerator, I want to up level my brewing slightly. And that's where we then as home brew shops, because there's no real ready-made kits, some of our brew shops do have kits that they've made up, we go, okay, this is what you need. So pressure fermenter, all the accessories that go along with that, and I think as we go along, we'll kind of break that down. So I think it depends on who's walking into the shop or who you're buying for, and we just need to ask those questions, or you need to come with the idea of exactly what you want so that you can walk out fully equipped with being able to brew to the level that you want to brew at.
Okay, so you mentioned a starter kit. So that's got everything people need to brew with.
Yeah, so we stock Morgan starter kits. I know there are a couple of starter kits on the market, but in there you've got everything. You can literally take it home, brew straight away. So you've got your fermenter, you've actually got your first brew in there. You've got things like that. As new home brewers, you might go, what are all these things? But you will definitely learn. Your spoon, hydrometer, airlock, taps, everything you need. You can literally take it out. It's got sanitizer. Sanitize it, put your beer down. It's then got bottles. So once you've finished fermenting, in a week or 2 weeks, however long it's taking, you can then bottle, have it set away, and then everything in there is reusable. All you need to do is get your next beer, basically.
Yeah, because I know at pubs we do a lot of all grain brewing from scratch, but I don't think that's the best way to get started. I mean, I do see a lot of people go all in. They're like, I'm going to get a big system, an all-in-one system to brew, and I kind of feel like if you do that, fine, and it can be done, but you're introducing a whole lot of variables, you're introducing more steps along the way that you have to master. And in my mind, if I was going to start home brewing, or I was going to tell someone how to start, I would have them started on a product that's almost ready to go, so that they can concentrate on things like sanitation, fermentation. They don't have to worry about all the science behind brewing. They don't have to worry about their gravities, their mash temps, their pHs, all those things. That can come later.
Yeah.
I think if you can get a good handle on starting with a kit, fermenting that, learning the science behind that, I think think that's a good place to start because it's only a couple of things. That's the way I think of it.
For me, it's about mastering your skill. And, you know, there's a lot of people who don't think that extract brewing requires a lot of skill, but there are still very basic steps that if you've never done it before, you don't know.
Yeah.
And you can jump into all grain, but then there's also, if you've never got those base skills down packed, you're not sanitizing properly, you're not letting your brew completely ferment out, or you don't have the knowledge around fermenting within a temperature range for the yeast you're using, you've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort into a beer that very likely will not be drinkable.
Absolutely, yeah. Fermentation's where it's at because, well, like we've just done an interview with Lockie from Pfaff Beer.
Oh,
Does
nice.
those Pfaff beers. Yeah, they'll come out in the new year, so keep an eye out for that. That was one of the things he said. He said, you know, brewers make the wort, the sticky sugary liquid that goes in the fermenter, but the yeast makes the beer. In other words, the fermentation is where beer is made. So I do think it's important to start there and learn this craft. All right, so we've talked about starter kits. We've talked about, you've got some extract in there. Okay, what about for the person who, okay, I enjoyed the starter kit, I've mastered that. What's the next level? Is there a way that I can improve my beer, improve the quality of the beer I'm making, without necessarily improving the difficulty or process that they have to go through, keeping it still simple?
So as anyone will know, I'm a huge fan of our fresh wort kits. Basically, for those of you who don't know what a fresh wort kit, it is someone has gone to the effort of doing an all grain mash for us. They've done the boil, they've done the hop additions, they've mashed it down and they've put it into basically a 15-litre sack. So that takes out 5 hours approximately of work, and we can dump her into our fermenter. Obviously, we are still responsible for making sure everything's clean and sanitized. We are then pitching the yeast. We're still responsible for fermentation, the fermentation environment. And that at the end is going to get you the quality of beer that takes you, 4 or 5 hours, a lot of planning and a lot of thought in 5 minutes.
Yeah, done. So so you can take that to the next level. Very simple. All right, well, since we're talking about beginning brewing and getting started in brewing, let's talk about those fermentation ends. If I was going to get a kit in a tin, if I was going to get my starter kit, or if I'm going to buy one of these concentrated fresh wort kits that go in to make a beer, let's talk about how we get the best out of that beer. What can we do? What sort of things do we need to have on hand, and what can we do to make sure that that's going to turn out the best possible beer we can? What tips can you give us?
Yeah, so I always start from the sanitation.
Absolutely.
I think first and foremost, using quality sanitizers.
Go and grab one. Something like that?
Yeah, so there's your Stella Sand sanitizer. I think that one is actually a cleaner and a sanitizer. So you've got 2 products in one. I really encourage people, don't be using house grade detergents and things like that. Use this. Essentially.
So what it is, it's a food grade acid. It's phosphoric acid, isn't it? And
this one I think's got a little bit more. So we've got the phosphoric acid, which is 50%.
Yeah.
So this one has a detergent or something in it.
That's right. Yeah, it's got a long name, so I'm not going to try and say a dioxyroxy detergent or something. But so the idea is you put a couple of mils in that, and you top it up inside your fermenter, which, if you haven't brewed before, because that's what this video is about, is just a bucket where you pour your beer into to ferment. And this is going to kill all the nasties in it. And you don't have to rinse it. It's no rinse. You just put it in, you kill all the germs, which is really important, so that, because when we brew, we're very intentional about the germs we want in there, or the bugs. Usually yeast is what we're talking about. So first we're going to start off killing everything else so that no other nasties get in there to wreck our beer. So next question, now that we've mentioned yeast, for someone who's starting off, maybe they don't have temperature control which we'll talk about in a second too. Well, tell us about temperature of beer, right? Temperature of this fermentation is important because it will dictate how the beer finishes in the end.
That's right. So I believe that yeast is one of the biggest contributors to your beer. So it dictates our style. It will be, if it's unhappy, you're going to know about it. Now you need to pick a yeast that is suitable for the style. I think that's really important. A lot of people, when they first jump in, they are buying things like lagers and using ale yeast. So you need to educate yourself, I think, around the different types of yeast. And that is just a matter of walking into your brew shop, talking to those of us who are behind the counter, and just loading up on a bit of knowledge. I know you share it on your channel, I share it on mine. And knowing the difference. Once you know those differences, you'll also start to learn that every style of yeast will have a different temperature range that it is brewed at. So if you walk in and go, I'm going to brew a lager, I'm going to grab a lager yeast, and you go dump it on the kitchen bench at, most of the ambient temperatures at the moment are probably sitting 26, 28 degrees. She's going to be pretty unhappy. So all of our homebrew yeast will have a temperature range that it likes to ferment at the back, and we need to be checking that. Now, we can either be using our yeast that likes it cold and then using our tools to keep things cool, or adversely, if we can't do that, using an ale yeast strain that is suitable for the temperature we're brewing at, which may be an American ale, and you may be able to keep it under, say, 22 or 24 ambient, and that's great. If you can't, and she's really warm, we're jumping into things like Kveik yeasts, which are designed to brew optimally between 30 and 40 degrees.
I think that's useful. Like for brewers out there, like, I want to get started. I think it's worthwhile just at the local homebrew shop picking up one of these yeast packets, because at the moment in Brisbane it's 30 degrees outside, and the day hasn't even started yet. Most your other ale yeasts that we were talking about earlier, lager might like to ferment at 12 degrees Celsius to 14. Standard ale yeast, we're talking 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. These Norwegian yeast styles, this Kveik.
Yeah, I don't know. I say Kveik, but I probably butchered it.
Yeah, apparently it's said different in different dialects.
Yeah, all as you did.
So it makes you feel better about it. Maybe you're right somewhere, depending on who you talk to. But it's these ones operate at really high temperatures. It's about 30 degrees it likes to be, doesn't it?
Optimal between 30 and 40.
Between 30 and 40.
Yeah.
So like even going up, so for a Brisbane summer, that works.
Yeah, so like I wouldn't be pushing her much. I kind of, and it's pretty hard to get her up to 40 degrees. I think 35 is a really reasonable temperature. She will brew from 20 degrees to 40 degrees.
Yeah. Obviously,
just the cooler it is, it's going to be a little bit slower. Yeah. So for new brewers who just want to master it, that's a huge temperature range that they've got. So it doesn't matter. Like obviously we don't want huge variations in our brews when we're actually brewing. Yeah. But for each individual brew, it's a yeast that can do, especially in Queensland, pretty much all year round.
Well, that would be my tip, I think, for brewers who are looking at this now in summer. I want to get into brewing beer. What am I going to do? Where am I going to start? I would recommend, picking up the starter kit we talked about, and then spending that extra $5, $6 on a packet of Kveik yeast. And then now it's going to have its own flavour, it's going to have its own character, and you may or may not like that. Usually it's reasonably clean with like a citrusy hit, right? And they finish quite dry. And it's got this nice citrusy hit to it. It's not big though, it's kind of subtle.
I think it also depends on what you're brewing.
Yeah, of course.
Like we've certainly noticed the Kveik's characteristics more in, your lighter styles, where we've done it in things like ginger beers, and you'd be probably none the wiser because there is quite a lot of flavour. If you're starting to experiment with things like dry hops and those type of things, if anything, that Kveik is actually going to complement your dry hop additions and may actually amplify it.
Yeah. So cool. Well, I reckon that's a good idea. spend the extra, get yourself a pack fight, give it a go.
And when we talk about spending the extra, I do think it's important to note as well that you are probably paying about $6 or something for your yeast, but you're getting anywhere from 20 to 23 litres. So across every 750 ml bottle or every schooner you're pouring, every keg you're making, cost per drink is actually very minimal.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Any other products you'd recommend for someone starting out? I mean, really starting out, first brew. Because I think the way to go is to start out, dip your toes in the hobby, see if you like it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those starter kits is low cost buy-in. You haven't spent hundreds on any equipment.
Yeah.
Any other tips you'd give for someone on their first brew, other than what we've already mentioned? Sanitizer and something like yeast.
Yeah, I think they're the main things. I think just trying to make it as easy as possible. So little things like when you mix up your sanitizer, I do it in a spray bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but that's how we do it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I actually have, I'll actually fill my fermenting vessel with that. So
it's cheap enough to.
Yeah. And I'll keep it in another bucket and I might reuse it.
Oh, okay.
Over time, yeah, but you don't want to use it too much, obviously.
And it's important to note as well that some sanitizers cannot be reused. So there is those sanitizers that are a hydrogen peroxide based sanitizer.
Oh, yeah.
They can't be reused, and that is what comes with the kit, or at least with Morgan's kit.
Yeah.
But no, I would, for someone who really has never done anything, that's why I would go focus on your sanitizing, focus on your temperature, and just give her a crack.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, the next guys who have a community of home brewers around them or friends who are home brewing, who have been getting their kegs filled up at microbreweries, who want to just take it to that next level. And that's when we'd be having the conversation of temp controlling.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And for those of you out there, get down to your local home brew shop and give it a crack. Now, one thing we haven't addressed in this video is the effect of the water you're using on your finished beer. So if you're interested in learning more about that, click on this video, which goes through my problems with my water and how I fixed them.